What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. One of the questions I get a lot in the comment section is, what about the unspent stimulus money? And there's a lot of it. There's hundreds of billions of dollars. And periodically I get information about it. And I just found an article here about it. Check this out. Here's an article I just came across here from Fox Business, Fox News. Again, I use articles from everywhere. I use CNN, Fox. I'm not, wherever the information comes from, I use it. If it's relevant, I really don't pick left, right, or center. If it's relevant, I use it. Okay. Nearly all COVID stimulus education money approved in 2021 remains unspent. White House says rescue plan money accelerated school spending of other federal funds. And get this, there's over $100 billion of leftover money just sitting there unused. Government figures show that just over 12% of the money allocated for education in the American Rescue Plan. This was the third stimulus package passed last year. This stimulus money has been spent so far, only 12% of it, as the U.S. enters the second full school year since the law's SWIFT package last year. The plan, which Democrats passed via reconciliation last year, Democrats only, no Republicans voted yes for it, since President Biden entered office, provided approximately $122 billion to states and schools. Just only $15 billion of that money has been spent so far. So there's over $100 billion just in this pot of money, $107 billion that is unspent. Now, note here, this isn't 107 million. This is 107 billion. Okay, that's how much is still left over. So just to give you guys an idea here. Now, remember that former President Donald Trump, back before the 2020 election, okay, I always get some people saying that, President Biden's trying to buy some votes with the student loan forgiveness by doing the student loan forgiveness. Well, remember that former President Donald Trump, right before the 2020 election, he did a presidential executive order to send out stimulus money, stimulus payments, or whatever you want to call it. He did an executive order and sent out billions of dollars of money. With this executive order, he took money from the disaster relief fund, and the executive order reallocated it and sent out money to millions of Americans. In the form of, I don't know what you want to call them, stimulus checks or checks, unemployment relief checks. And he did this executive order and just reallocated the money and sent out $300 per week for 6 weeks, so a total of $1,800. If states chipped in an extra $100, then they could have got up to $2,400 for unemployment relief to went out to millions of people. Okay, through an executive order. This was money that was already approved by Congress, which is very similar to this hundreds of billions of dollars that is left over from the last several stimulus packages. Okay, so like for example, this $107 billion, we've seen an article here, it was several months ago at this point, that there was up to $800 billion of leftover stimulus money. So like we look at this money from education right now, just in this one article here, that there's $107 billion available there. Okay. And that's just in one kind of pot of money. Okay. And schools, from what it looks like, don't really need all that money because they've only spent 12% of it. So it looks like there's way more money than what they need because they just they just haven't spent nearly what they have. Because if they did, they would spend more money of it. So it looks like there's a plethora of money there, and there's going to be all sorts of different types of money like this that is there. Now, one place they don't have enough money is for pandemic funding. So, like if you watch my video here from yesterday, I think it was, they've run out of money for free COVID tests. Okay. Republicans don't want to fund more money for that type of stuff. They've run out of that. So he could sign an executive order to reallocate money for that as well. Okay. And he could sign an executive order. From what we understand, it's a little bit of a gray area, but former President Donald Trump did it. Okay. To what I think, and a lot of people think this as well, to do an executive order for stimulus checks. And again, you'll see people in the comments saying, Jimmy, he can't do that. He can't do that. The reason that a lot of people think he can is, number one, former President Donald Trump did it. Trump did it himself. Number two is the main thing is the money has to be approved by Congress to begin with. Okay. So this money is approved by Congress. They're just reallocating it. Okay. So it's money that's already approved by Congress. It's stimulus money that's left over. So it's leftover stimulus money that's already approved and is sitting there leftover money, and it just gets reallocated. That's exactly what Trump did. Okay. He took money that was already approved by Congress and was sitting there in the disaster relief fund. Okay. It was, I don't remember how much money it is. You can look it up. It was like 100 or 200 billion dollars or something like that. And he took the money and said, all right, it's before the election. It was before the 2020 election. Okay. So, and again, you could say, oh, he was trying to buy votes. It's just like people are saying, oh, Biden's trying to buy votes, but Biden's not even up for reelection. So I don't know. You could, whatever. It doesn't really matter to me, whatever you want to think. But Trump did that before the 2020 election, and he sent out checks to millions of people for $1,800 to $2,400, depending on whether the state kicked in for unemployed people. So there is hundreds of billions of dollars left over, and eventually they're going to have to say, we got all this money, let's use it for something. Let's use it for something. So right now, we just seen the executive order that was used for the student loan forgiveness, which is going to go out to about 43 million people, which is a really good thing. It's going to help out 43 million people. 87% of it is going to go out to people making under $75,000. Okay, so you have to make under $125,000. So people that are like doctors and stuff like that aren't going to get any help there. And the majority of these people are low and middle income people that really need help. There's a lot. I've seen a lot of comments from people. By the way, I don't get any help from this. We actually already paid off my wife's student loans. And I went to college for a very short time and then went on to be an entrepreneur. So I think I did pretty well for myself. But, we paid off both of our loans already. So I'm not mad that I'm not getting help. I'm just happy for all the people that are getting help. And I think you should be happy. The Bible says you should be happy for your neighbor when they get help in need. You shouldn't have jealousy and hate in your heart. And I think that when the next program comes around, that you should say, again, the next program is going to be in September here, which is going to be for food stamp and food assistance and SNAP program. That's going to be another big one coming here in September. So again, I hope that that is another really big one that comes here as well. Now, Republicans are saying they might challenge this student loan forgiveness, and it could go all the way to the Supreme Court. So that, imagine if that happens and these 43 million Americans don't get this help that they need. Because the problem with student loans, people go on to pay for it for years and decades and decades. I've seen a lot of comments from people. Comment down in the comment section if you've been paying on your student loans for years and decades. We had a almost kind of a famous comment on one of our videos now of somebody's mother who was 69 years old and was a nurse and had been paying on her student loans for 40, I think it was 40 years. 40 years, and she was a nurse, and she said, hey, my mom's deserving of this because she's been paying on her student loans for 40 years, taking care of people with as a nurse. So again, I'm just thankful for a lot of people that are getting this. By the way, Biden actually announced here, after announcing broad student loan forgiveness, and I used to get a whole bunch of complaints. When's Biden going to keep his promise on the student loan forgiveness? And now he did. And now there's all people complaining that, oh, he shouldn't have did that, or it wasn't enough. It's just, It's hard to make people happy, man. It's a tough. I wouldn't want to be president. It's a tough job, man. You can see this title here. After announcing broad student loan forgiveness, Biden's education department wipes out $1.5 billion in student debt for borrowers subjected to manipulation by a for-profit school. Well, this just came out here today. They announced a $1.5 billion student loan forgiveness, a complete student loan forgiveness for 79,000 Westwood College students. This is one of those colleges that shut down in 2016. Westwood College, I'm surprised this wasn't done earlier. This is one of those colleges that completely shut down. The relief will apply to those who attended the school between January 2002 and 2015. So if you went to Westwood College, look into the details on that. Also getting details here, student loan borrowers can start applying for Biden's debt cancellation in early October. Early October. It will automatically help 8 million borrowers, while others will have to apply. The White House said on Friday an application will be ready in October. I will keep you up to date here with all the information here on our channel as it comes out because I do this research every day. So I'll do the research for you. Again, I'm covering everything. I'm covering Social Security raises, student loan forgiveness, stimulus checks on a state level, on a federal level, everything coming out here, SNAP raises, everything that comes out here, and daily news here. I'll keep you up to date here. Remember, new videos come out here every day, 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So make sure you're subscribed and have the bell icon on so you get notifications. And if you've been watching my channel, I'm trying to keep you up to date with all these states passing state stimulus checks, tax relief, and trying to give money back to their people. There's about half of the states that are giving back state stimulus checks, and it seems like every week there's more and more states doing this here. So let's jump right in. Here's some more. The state of Wisconsin. Governor Tony Evers has a $5 billion surplus, and he has a plan to use it. Here's the details. He says from the lowest earners to families, veterans, seniors, and caregivers, if you live in the state, there's something in it for you. We sat down with an interview with Governor Tony Evers with his new Getting to the Uplifting section, that Wisconsin would have a $3.8 billion surplus at the end of the fiscal year 2023. By July, that estimate ballooned to more than $5 billion, an unprecedented number that does not include Wisconsin's stabilization or rainy day fund that contains an additional $1.7 billion. So this gives you an idea of what a state the size of Wisconsin has, how much money they have. Almost every state has money like this, depending on the size. He says it caught me off guard on how much money they have. He says that Wisconsin residents rebounded after 2 years of uncertainty. If approved, the plan would approve $600 million in tax relief. How would his plan help the lowest income earners? We plan to do a tax cut of 10% for people making less than $100,000. He said that there's another part of this plan, the mandatory minimum markup law, which is a special obligation for gas stations to mark up their prices. Our plan gets rid of that. The gasoline that's pretty expensive here in Wisconsin would be reduced by 18 to 30 cents. It will help Wisconsin families with a childhood tax rebate. If someone has a child, they have the opportunity when they fill out their taxes this next time that could essentially 100% of what they get off on their federal side. This means that they could probably get between $600 and $1,200 depending on the number of children. Remember, a lot of states have a state child tax credit. If you've been watching my channel, I'll keep you up to date on those. You have to file a state tax return. Even if you're not required to file a tax return, you might want to. And on the federal level, you have to file a tax return on the federal level to get your federal child tax credit, even if you're not required to file, even if you have no income and you don't have to file a tax return, you want to file a tax return with the federal government to get your child tax credits. Okay, for last year, if you got the monthly payments, you got the monthly payments for only half the year. The government still owes you $1,500 to $1,800 for the rest of the half of the year for per child. So even if you had no income, you still want to file a tax return with the federal government and make sure you do it correctly to get the other $1,500 to $1,800 per child. And there's adult tax credits, and you may have there's all sorts of, I mean, again, everybody's situation's different. So this isn't tax advice because I don't know you and I don't know your tax situation. But everybody has a different tax situation. So, but definitely if you have children, you have to file a federal tax return to get that tax rebate, and there might be tax rebates on the state level as well, but you have to file a state tax return to get that. Okay, keep that in mind. It will help caregivers. Whoever has a caregiver will be able to get a break on their taxes as well when they claim that. It'll be a little bit smaller than the childhood tax credit, but if you have expenses, you can claim those as well. It will help seniors. There's really an important tax in Wisconsin that nobody knows about, frankly, called the homestead credit. It's primarily for seniors who don't have a great income stream. You get a significant tax credit. People who have no income, if they just take the time to fill out the form, they can get a relatively large, it's usually more than $1,000 break. This is what I try to tell people all the time. But again, every person's situation is different here. But this is for people with no income in Wisconsin. Our plan indexes to inflation and will automatically add an entire group of people who can now claim the homestead credit. It will help veterans. There's a special property tax credit that veterans who are disabled or surviving spouses of veterans are able to claim. It's a significant credit, and we're looking to be able to make it available to more veterans. If you're a veteran, thank you for your service. Thank you for your service if you're a caregiver, all these different people, right? Teacher, everybody. If you're frontline responder, our plan puts an additional $16 million in that fund and will impact about 80,000 people in the state. I estimate it would give each of them about $2,000. Evers released a similar but larger tax plan 5 months ago. It was rejected by the Republican-controlled state legislature. This plan would also need their approval. These are targeted tax breaks. We are trying to make sure we reach the people who need them the most. How would this plan differ if it wasn't an election year? Remember, it's an election year every 2 years. It wouldn't be any different. It wasn't any different last January either. That's just the point. Once we know what our available funds are, we're going to continue to do this. So it's really good to see this going on here in a lot of different states here. So I'm going to keep you up to date here with everything going on here on the federal level with all sorts of different programs, and on the state level with all sorts of different programs as well. Let me know your thoughts here in the comments, and I will keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. So make sure to subscribe down below to our YouTube channel. It's completely free to do so. And give us a thumbs up down below to support our channel. You can click here to watch my newest video next. Or you can click here to see $3,200 checks that are going out to millions of people as well. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.